Giving you my Penn State Rutgers preview. Penn State plays Rutgers this weekend at 12 o'clock kick. So far, Rutgers is 4-5 this year. It's a home game for Penn State. Line right now is 31-point favorite for Penn State. Heavy favorite. Rutgers last year was really bad. 78 nothing to Michigan, 56 nothing to Ohio State, 39 nothing to Penn State, and they got killed by Michigan State too. So they were not very good at all. They're a little bit better this year. They have won some Big Ten games. They beat Purdue, and by two, I think. They beat Maryland this past weekend, and they were able to beat Illinois, who's not very good at all, but a win's a win over a Big Ten team. When I break down this Rutgers team, I don't really see a lot there. They're not. They're better than they were. Obviously, Chris Esch is doing a good job. He's getting them better, but they're still not 100% there. I don't think. Quarterback's not bad, but he's not great. He doesn't really do all that much. They got a decent running back. I think he's a freshman. I kind of think he is. He's not a bad running back. He might be able to get going a little bit. But I think Rutgers kind of matches up pretty good for Penn State because they don't got a quarterback that can really throw and pick them apart with a very good receiving core. Um, and they don't really have a great rushing defense that can bottle up Barkley with Penn State's O line that has an inability to break holes, and the secondary isn't that great either. Um, Rutgers' defense isn't that great. It can hold some mediocre teams, but it's had a hard time against some of the top teams in the Big Ten, and that may continue against Penn State. I mean, I could see Rutgers making this game pretty close. Maybe maybe Penn State's a little mad. Well, not mad, but they're more disappointed and they're kind of sulking down. And they don't. Barkley has a hard time getting going. The offense isn't fluent. Maybe it wins like 28-17, and the defense does a decent job, or maybe even like 31-24 or something like that, where it's a pretty close game. But I mean, honestly, I could also see it being the exact other way, where I could see Penn State completely annihilating this team. You know, Rutgers QB. Penn State secondary does a decent enough job. People say Penn State secondary isn't that great. Well, it isn't against top teams, but it should be able to handle these teams like Rutgers. It was able to handle the other Big Ten teams. It should be able to handle Rutgers, I think. But what I was saying is, there's part of me that just says Penn State might annihilate Rutgers, maybe, where the quarterback isn't able to find any open receivers. Penn State secondary does a decent job, and the Rutgers rushing game doesn't do real well on a pretty good Penn State rush defense. Penn State's able to get some pressure, maybe not quite as much because they are hurting a couple people out, and then Barkley just goes off against a rush defense that isn't that great, and he's able to just go outside and be able to bounce some holes outside and make sure he's able to make some plays, and they end up winning this game by like 49, like 7 or something. For me, it's kind of hard. I envision the game being a pretty good game for Penn State, a decent bounce back game where Rutgers makes some points. They're able to make some plays. The quarterback is able to complete some passes, not a ton, but some. The running game gets going a little bit. But at the end of the day, Penn State's able to make some stops defensively, be able to get off the field, and be able to force some, incompletions, some sacks, some throwaways because nobody's open, and they're able to stop the running game pretty well as the game goes on. And then on the opposite side of the ball, I think Penn State, Barkley's able to have a decent day, and I think he's able to get some holes in this game. It's been the first game in a while that he hasn't faced a decent rush defense. I think the O line should be able to block and be able to get him some holes, and then with that, McSorley will be able to make some passes. This Rutgers secondary isn't any worse than Michigan State's or better. So, actually, it probably is a little worse. And, McSorley should be able to make some passes. But it might be a little bit of a cold day, so that might be a little bit limited. But at the end of the day, I think Penn State will be able to come away with a win. I got it 42-14. Penn State. I don't got them covering, but I think it's going to be close. And then, I mean, the Penn State just has to focus on these next three games. I mean, they should be able to beat Rutgers, Nebraska, and Maryland. If they do what they can do, show up, make the plays that they need to, they'll still be 10-2. It's not what we want. Michigan State's a good team, though. I mean, they're getting better throughout the year. They should have beat Northwestern. They missed two easy field goals and fumbled it at like the 1 yard line. Should have been able to win that game by like 13 then. And they weren't, and they actually outplayed Notre Dame too. But I mean, Michigan State, they're not bad, but Penn State wasn't able to make some of those plays at the end of that game that were able to put them in the position to win. And that's why they weren't able to finish the deal against them. And they should have been. I mean, Michigan State's a good team. They're probably a top 10 to 15 team in the country. But I think Penn State is a little bit of a better team, but they weren't able to make the plays that day. So I got it 42-13, no 42-14 Penn State. That's a wrap for this one. Let's hope it happens.